we're going to completely shatter how you look at the world around you. We're exploring this totally radical, mind-bending idea that your physical reality, literally everything you can touch, taste, and measure right now, is actually just an illusion. It's merely a shadow. We're digging deep into the profound teachings of Neville Goddard to understand how true manifestation happens entirely beyond the evidence of your physical senses. So grab your focus and let's get ready to wake up from the dream.
Seriously, just look around you for a second. The screen you're watching, the chair you're sitting in, the walls of the room, is any of this actually real? Well, according to the mystical pioneer Neville Goddard, the answer is a resounding no. The physical world, which feels so intensely solid and absolute to us, is actually the least real thing about your existence. To really change your life, you have to fundamentally challenge your perception of this tangible, three-dimensional world.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a clear, logical path to walk today, shifting our understanding from the tangible 3D world to the intangible power of consciousness. 1. The 3D reality illusion. 2. Shadows of past thoughts. 3. The emotional reaction trap. 4. Detaching from the senses. And 5. The Neville Goddard method.
Starting us off with number 1, the 3D reality illusion, waking up from the dream. And this brilliantly illustrates how Goddard's philosophy fundamentally splits our experience right down the middle into two halves. On one side, we have the outer world, that physical 3D space. Now, this world is entirely made of delayed effects, fleeting shadows, and ephemeral conditions. It is actually never the cause of anything. Then on the other side, we have the inner world. And this is the realm of true reality. This is the sole cause of everything you experience. It's that pure I am consciousness. Your inner state of awareness is the ultimate creator, and the outer physical world is just the lagging, delayed result of whatever you're holding in that inner space.
Think about it this way. The universe is infinitely responsive, and it responds specifically to the individual observer. It responds to you. When you truly grasp that your inner consciousness is the sole creator of your external circumstances, you realize that holding this power is literally like holding the globe in the palms of your hands. You are no longer a victim of some random mechanical universe, right? The world exists perfectly and precisely for you to shape through your awareness.
Which brings us to our next point, Section 2, Shadows of Past Thoughts, the mirror metaphor. Neville states this so perfectly. Circumstances and conditions of life are exteriorized inner speech, solidified vibration, meaning those physical obstacles, the empty bank accounts, or the tough relationships you're bumping into today, they're just the delayed, solidified echoes of the inner conversations you were having with yourself yesterday. The 3D world is simply a mirror. Think about it. You can't change your physical reflection by attacking or breaking the mirror, right? To change what the mirror shows, you have absolutely no choice but to change your face. So to change your life, you have to change your inner speech.
And this brings us to a cardinal rule of manifestation. Signs follow, they do not precede. We are so heavily culturally conditioned to say, I'll believe it when I see it. You know the drill. We demand physical evidence before we grant ourselves permission to feel successful or wealthy or loved. But Goddard insists we have to completely reverse this equation. You have to adopt the absolute stance of, I believe it, and thus I see it. The physical proof you're desperately looking for will only arrive after you've firmly established that invisible conviction within your own consciousness. But here is where almost everyone messes up. Section 3, the emotional reaction trap, breaking the cycle.
Listen closely here because your emotions are the actual engine of creation. When you look at the delayed shadows of the 3D world and emotionally react to them, you're performing a highly dangerous creative act. Look at your bank account and feel a sudden fear of loss. That fear creates actual future loss. Look at an argument and feel anger. That anger solidifies further conflict. Feel frustration with your health. That frustration actively breeds more illness. By emotionally reacting to the 3D shadows around you, you're instantly taking those negative states and feeding them right back into the manifestation machine. You trap yourself in a vicious cycle, continuously recreating the exact physical reality you are desperately trying to escape. So, how do we break this cycle? We have to stop, and know that I am God. We absolutely must enter what Neville calls the silence. We have to completely halt our panicked, rapid-fire reactions to the physical world, slow down our racing minds, and remember the supreme authority of our own consciousness.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this idea that before you're a man or a woman, rich or poor, sick or healthy, you simply are. Imagine intentionally withdrawing from your physical identity until you feel like you're floating, completely formless and faceless in a void. You mentally detach from the dense physical body and simply exist as pure, unconditioned I am awareness. This silent, floating state, this is the ultimate blank canvas where all true intentional creation begins.
To reach that blank canvas, we move to Section 4, detaching from the senses, closing the door. It's an absolute, non-negotiable necessity to actively ignore the physical evidence around you if you want to change your reality. But there's a massive difference between fighting your reality and simply withdrawing your attention from it. Look, if you're in debt and you mentally fight that debt, your consciousness is still entirely focused on the concept of debt. You're just creating more of it. Fighting creates deep psychological resistance and makes that 3D illusion feel even heavier and more real. Instead, you have to gently but firmly withdraw your attention. You close the doors of your physical senses to the current reality, rendering it completely dead to you, and you open your inner door exclusively to the state of the wish fulfilled. Because in your imagination, you can't relegate your desires to the distant future. You don't imagine your goal happening someday or somewhere else. You have to transform somewhere else into here and someday into now. You're actively taking an invisible potential from the fabric of the universe and pulling it right into your present feeling. You have to feel the visceral reality of it right now, completely regardless of what your physical eyes are currently showing you. Let's move to and see how this builds into practical application. Section 5, the Neville Goddard method. This whole profound philosophy translates into a really concrete nightly routine that breaks down into 4 clear steps. First, you've got to immobilize your physical body. Get incredibly comfortable, sit in a heavy chair or lie flat in your bed, and become completely physically still until your limbs feel heavy and distant. Second, consciously withdraw your attention from the 3D senses. Let the ambient sounds of the room just fade away, ignore the physical texture of the blankets. You want to reach that floating I am state we talked about. Third, in that relaxed border of sleep state, boldly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Ask yourself, what would it feel like right now if I already had my desire? And fourth, maintain that specific feeling. Just loop a short, reassuring imaginary scene in your mind over and over until you naturally drift off to sleep. Neville famously mastered this through what we call the Barbados technique. When Neville desperately wanted to travel to his home in Barbados but had absolutely no money, his esoteric teacher, Abdullah, flat out refused to entertain the physical reality. He simply told Neville, "You are already in Barbados." He instructed Neville to sleep every single night, feeling as though his bed was physically located in a house in Barbados. The lesson here is so profound. You never think about the goal as something distant. You have to think from the goal as if you're already standing right in the middle of it. You see the world from that new state. And crucially, you completely ignore the how and the means. Your logical 3D mind is going to try to figure out the steps. Ignore it. The inner state will construct the outer bridge of incidents all on its own. So the crucial point is how to make that imagination feel completely real before it physically exists. Goddard suggests using imaginary spiritual senses. For example, while your physical body is entirely immobilized on your bed, imagine that you have a more subtle spiritual hand existing perfectly inside your physical hand. In your mind's eye, extend that imaginary hand out to shake the hand of a friend who's congratulating you on your new success. Feel the warmth of their skin, the firm pressure of the grip, the absolute reality of that handshake using your spiritual sensation. You have to give the internal image profound sensory vitality. As we wrap up this structured journey, we return to the ultimate foundational truth of this entire philosophy. Your world, in its every detail, is your concretized consciousness. There are no accidents. There's no external luck. The creator and the creation are one and the same. The world around you is literally nothing but a vast, complex mirror, reflecting the specific states of awareness you have consciously or unconsciously consented to hold within yourself. You now intimately understand that the 3D world is just a delayed echo, and your immediate emotional reactions are the true engine of ongoing creation. So I'll leave you with this. Knowing this incredible, limitless power you hold, what will your next silent inner conversation create? The thoughts you're quietly having right now, in this very moment, are already solidifying into tomorrow's reality. Choose them wisely.